Alrighty, let's take a look at what Old School tweeted this morning. They said, Purple Hunters, we've got a proposal for you. Check out today's blog to read over our plans for changes to scouting and scaling at the Chambers of Xeric. And take a second to fill out the survey we've included to share your thoughts with us. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the actual blog post, and I'm going to try to withhold my thoughts initially until we read some of these replies. So let's take a look at what they have decided to say on the matter. In this year's Summer Summit Gigapoll, you voted overwhelmingly in favor of improvements to scouting and scaling in the Chambers of Xeric. After a lot of conversation among the team about what these improvements should look like, we've got some thoughts to share. Scouting and scaling. Unlike other raids, Chambers of Xeric doesn't have a fixed layout. Instead, raid instances are generated upon entry, giving players a variety of unique encounter combinations. As such, it's incredibly unlikely that you'll get the same route back to back, which keeps things fresh and lets players make meaningful choices. However, this system has its downsides. For example, some rooms are more mechanically demanding than others or require better gear. Players learning the content for the first time might have a couple of rooms they'd like to avoid while they get to grips with other encounters like the raid's final boss, the Great Olm. At the opposite end of the spectrum, the most confident players might want to push for record-breaking completion times, but can't reliably scout a speedy layout. Improving the current scouting system presents some unique challenges too. Firstly, only the players at both extremes of the skill scale stand to benefit. We need to ensure the system meets their needs, as well as providing for players in the middle who aren't so concerned about finding the perfect layout. Secondly, we already have a scouting system which generates layouts using a rotation system, where one room must be followed by another according to a specific set of rules. This image from the OSRS wiki illustrates the system nicely. Rewriting the generation system to ignore these rotations is not a simple task, although it will allow players to generate layouts that have never been seen before. Lastly, allowing players to select their own layouts will lead to more consistently fast raid completions over time, which could significantly impact the raid's profitability when uniques start entering the game at an increased rate. Since the poll, we've been hard at work considering all the above points, and we think we've come up with a proposal that addresses all of them. Our proposal. In short, this is what we're proposing. Players can select the number of rooms in the raid between 5 and 8 to determine the size of the raid layout. Players can select a specific layout based on their selected size. Players can select specific encounters to fill each room in the layout. These are irrespective of pre-existing rotations. In other words, you'll be able to fully customize your raid. Players also have the option to pick a predefined static layout. We're exploring a more beginner-friendly layout initially. There's also the potential to add a competition layout, which would let speedrunners compete fairly with one another, so that people could compete on a different fixed layout, although this feature is a low priority at the moment. Players are shown the cost of their raid, 500,000 GP for a fully custom raid. A reduced fee for a predefined beginner-friendly raid layout, which would exclude Vanguards, Vespula, Vasa, and Tecton, the most frequently skipped encounters. Additional costs for scaling. One additional player costs 100,000 GP, a second costs an extra 99,000 GP, a third costs an extra 98,000 GP, and so on. What the fuck? Okay, I said I wouldn't share my thoughts yet. The layout itself and any costs incurred depend solely on the player creating the raid. If you're raiding in a group, one player will be responsible for setting up layouts and paying the cost, though you could always agree to split this cost between yourselves beforehand. All these settings will be stored on your character, so if you'd like to repeat your previous layout, then you'll be able to do so at the click of a button. Let's see how this might work in detail. Say you pick 5 rooms and a layout containing 4 combat rooms and 1 puzzle room. From here, you can populate those combat and puzzle rooms however you like, as long as you can cough up 500,000 GP for the privilege. Although this is a fully custom system, some existing rules will still be in effect. You must have at least 5 rooms in the layout, and at least 1 room must be a puzzle room. There can be no duplicate combat rooms, and in smaller layouts, there can be no duplicate puzzle rooms either. At least one scavenger and one farming room are placed on the map automatically, regardless of the layout you've chosen. Why 500,000 GP? While we're not married to this specific value, we think this is a decent ballpark, and we have the maths explain that figure a little. According to the OSRS wiki, every 1,000 points earned inside Chambers of Xeric amounts to 96,000 GP from unique drops and 14,000 GP from common drops, totaling 11. Am I losing it right now? 110,000. I was about to say 11. You don't even. 110,000 GP. Jesus Christ. Conservatively, the average number of points earned in an unscaled solo raid is around 30,000, amounting to 3.3 million GP worth of loot, made up of approximately 420,000 GP from common drops and approximately 2.88 million GP from uniques. The number of points earned in other scales varies heavily. Duos often average around 40,000 points, trios in the region of 50,000 to 60,000 points, depending on the layout, of course. Solos make for a useful comparison, since you'd be incurring the full cost of a custom layout entirely on your own. At 500,000 GP per layout, even if you never see a unique item, on average you'll make back over 80% of the upfront cost from common drops alone. Once you factor in uniques, you'll still be making a tidy sum from each completed raid. For experienced players who want to experiment with new layouts, this cost feels balanced. For those of you just starting out, the amount may be a little high, but shared between your raid buddies, it's a little more reasonable. If you're really looking to maximize your profit, your goal should be to familiarize yourself with every room so that you don't have to pay the custom layout fee at all, which is something we still want players to do rather than only running meta layouts. Ultimately, we want players to keep engaging with everything Cox has to offer. The raid is designed for replayability and variety, not playing it the same way every single time. Iron players may still choose to incur the full cost while soloing. Alternatively, they can use an alternate account to make the layout, or group up with friends and take turns to pay the fee over several sessions. Of course, you can also keep hunting for that twisted bow the good old-fashioned way, with the random generation you know and love. Moving on from scouting, scaling should be as simple as ticking a box and entering a number on the initial party creation interface, as long as you have the funds. We're currently kicking costs off at 100,000 GP, decreasing by 1,000 GP with each additional player added. This cost is a bit trickier to balance. The value of these invisible players is hard to measure. If each additional real player adds 10,000 points, then a cost of 100,000 GP seems like a fair trade. But it doesn't factor in additional difficulty or the fact that combat and puzzle rooms scale at different group sizes to Ulm, where the majority of points are obtained. Additionally, that's the cost of having an alt account to set up the layout in the first place in the current implementation, and whether or not this might work out cheaper than the costs we've outlined here. Ultimately, we're not sure there is a correct value for either scouting custom layouts or scaling up raid solos, so we'll be keeping a close eye on your feedback to make sure we're at least in the right ballpark. As is tradition, we have a short survey where you can share your thoughts. So those are the plans, and know this update has been a long time coming, but we needed that extra time to investigate what's possible, figure out what we can actually deliver on time, and decide what changes we're comfortable making. The last thing we wanted to do was overpromise and come up short. We'd like to thank everyone for their patience, and we hope this proposal is in line with your expectations. We'd really appreciate you taking the time to fill out the survey above or just getting in touch on all the usual social channels. In the meantime, happy raiding and good luck with the ongoing grinds. Okay, let's take a look at what Twitter has to say about this, as I said in the beginning. PSAC says, far too expensive, fully customizable, doesn't seem needed. Let us choose rooms that follow the current rotations. If still wanting fully customizable raids, allow a reduced cost for a scout that uses the current rotation system. Yeah, not a great look, King Khan. I'm just going to call you out right here. Like, come on, man. I just had you on the cast, and now you're just coming out of nowhere with that. Let's actually read all these replies, though. Okay, so people are saying 500K. I was actually surprised by this. I thought the original 500K number that Jagex produced was, like, gonna be seen as like outrageously expensive. But a lot of people here obviously are like higher level and they've been playing for years and years, and a lot of them are just saying it's actually really cheap. People are saying it's too cheap. Which is crazy. I was not expecting that at all. Glad to see scouting addressed, but what about fixing the rooms? Tecton's still an RNG, Dragon Warhammer Snooze Fest, and Meter Dial Machine Gun left untouched. Thurko says, big fan of this. I think the costs are fair. It's what you'd be roughly paying to buy it from a scouter anyway, and now you don't have to add any human interaction to your day. W. Please consider making custom rotations cheaper with combat achievements. Okay. Is there anything that can be done to guarantee a scav room at the end before farming? One of the most annoying things is having to run. That is true. I mean, that's a good point. But that would be the beauty of a fully customizable raid. As long as, at least what looked to me that Jagex said is it's truly fully customizable. Although they did say that you are forced to have a scavenger in a farm room. So hopefully you could just place those wherever you want. And hopefully they can always be at the end. Because what would be annoying is a fully customizable raid, but then the scavenger room is just like in the very beginning just because you can't move it. Travis42 says, please consider rebalancing some of the rooms, aka Ice Demon Thieving. Add overload drops to more bosses for variety and solos. Add practice mode where you can skip the raid and go right to Ulm to learn methods. No rewards from practice mode. For the specific, I'm so sorry, by the way, my laundry is just going and I feel like it's causing a lot of just random noises. So just rest assured, I'm perfectly safe here. Anyway. For the specific layout raids, we are paying $500K per raid, or is it a one-time $500K payment? And it is per raid, as he says. So, okay, let's see. I'm going to share some of my thoughts on this. So, my personal thoughts is what Jagex has proposed is fine. I'm not losing sleep over what they've decided to do. Although I will say I would be much happier if there was no cost associated with any of this, and we can just fully customize a raid and go in and enjoy Chambers of Xeric. And if that is, people are thinking that's way too busted, what the hell? Like, first of all, I think the point of like, I feel like it's just so weird that people feel this necessity that Chambers needs to be random, like that's adding fun. Like, I truly don't think. I think if we were to just take a step back, like, there's nothing really being added that's enjoyable about a random raid. In fact, most people that enter a raid load up what the raid looks like in the fucking first place. So it's not even really random. Like, yes, you go in and I guess it is randomized, but you know immediately before you've even started the raid what you're about to encounter. So, like, I don't know. I just really can't fully comprehend why there's this intuition with a lot of people and the team themselves that just think like this is a core benefit or just like value to, or a core like tenet to what Chambers is. Like, can't we just scrap the idea of randomness? Like, come on. Anyway, so I would love it if you could just fully customize a raid however the hell you want. Boom, there you go. It's free. Just run some goddamn Chambers. Yes, it'll affect the economy. In fact, if the economy is such a big deal, I would be totally okay with people, or like if the team were to decide, okay, there is no fee, and then just severely cut the normal drops you get from Chambers. So just start cutting the amount of just the insane amount of herbs you get and the insane amount of just random ores and stuff. Like, if we were to just go in and slash the regular loot by at least half or something, like, I don't even think that would be a problem. In fact, that would just skim the surface of maybe addressing skilling. Like, in my perfect, so people are going to see my argument as like very surface level and just saying, oh my God, quit, no, don't adjust the drop tables at Chambers. Like, my whole vision on this, like, you got to take a step back and see, I want all PVM sources to be reduced in the amount of skilling supplies they drop. And I think this would be a great opportunity, instead of having this weird system where you have to pay GP to raid, which is just so silly and weird. Like, I understand maybe it's balanced in what we've, had for the past several years, but like, it's just so weird. Like, why would you have to pay like $500,000 GP just to have a nice, decent experience with Chambers, like setting up a fully custom raid? I really don't see that as an issue. This is the perfect opportunity to go in and just reduce the amount of normal loot that you're getting from each run so that in time, in the future, we can address the skilling concern. Like, people hate skilling. Like, just take mining, for example. I've been talking about mining for months now. I mean, the top end of mining, you lose money doing the sweatiest methods. You have to drop everything. Like, why is that even a thing? Like, I understand that's been like the case of like this idea of power mining and stuff and like power efficient, just dropping stuff for better XP rates. But why can't there be a method that's really sweaty and super high GP per hour? Like, look at Hallowed Sepulchre. That's a perfect example. Imagine Hallowed Sepulchre, you lost money doing it. Like, how silly that would be. It's just like, this is a very engaging method. So if we could just see that skilling could be profitable, like, I know that sounds absolutely crazy for skilling to be profitable and, you know, generate 1 to 2 mil GP per hour. But if we could get to that point where we have skilling be profitable, we don't need to be flooding these PVM sources with additional resources. There would actually be a purpose and a point to skilling rather than just, oh my God, this is a fucking chore. I hate skilling. I just want to PVM all day because skilling is, you know, 200k GP per hour and incredibly boring. No engagement whatsoever. I hate this game, basically. People want to star mine all day. Ironically, I am star mining right now. But like, there is such a deeper issue, and I feel like this is a nice place to start, is just don't have a fee to raid. Let people just fully customize a raid. Yes, people will mostly just pick a certain raid that just feels best, but there are still people that prefer like other rooms over others. And I like, you know, what who was it that said like Ignoble said, like, why don't we start fixing the rooms? Like, yes, there are so many things I've advocated over the years. I mean, one of them is just like having full Inquisitors guarantee a Warhammer. Like, that would be great. That would just make Tecton way more bearable. The other thing that would be nice is thieving. Like, why the hell at 99th, even at 100 thieving, people bring in a goddamn thieving cape into raids. Like, at 100 thieving, you're still 50-50 thieving the fucking chests in the thieving room. What the hell is going on? That is not fun. That is just masochistic. It's so stupid. It is stupid. Yes, it would change the speedrun metas, you know, where, oh my God, like, you're speeding up thieving. God forbid that, you know, we have to, you know, get higher, you know, we have to, all these speedruns are being devalued. Like, can we just make it so at 99 thieving, you have a 100% success rate? Then people aren't, you know, feeling the need to, well, I guess the thieving cape really is to just get an additional scav. Like, it would be nice if 99 thieving was the cap you get, so you don't have to just be trolling and just bring a goddamn thieving cape into chambers. It's so stupid. I mean, I would even be okay if, like, it capped at, like, level 80 thieving. So then there isn't this a fucking obsession with, like, everybody hates skilling, but they feel this obligation to get to 99 in all these skills because it just makes their PVM experience more bearable. Imagine Chambers thieving room was 100% success rate at level 80 and onward. So now all you have to do is just get to level 80 thieving, and there isn't this weird thing like, oh my God, I hate thieving. Let's speed it up. Let's have some AFK 50k XP an hour method because I fucking hate this game and I just want to PVM all day. Like, you know what I mean? Anyway, so what Jagex has proposed, I am fine with for the most part. Like, it's just whatever. I think it's cool that they're allowing fully customizable raids, and I'm really not against what they proposed. Now, if we are going down Jagex's route, it would be cool for Iron Men to be able to use Death's Coffer in this situation. Death's Coffer from Scar Essence. I remember somebody mentioned that in my Scar Essence video, but please no, that is no. But there are situations where the Death's Coffer would be very useful, and I think this would be a great opportunity to allow Death's Coffer to pay for scouts. So you get a deck scroll, you shove it in Death's Coffer, and that's going to pay for your next, 60 or 70 raids soloing. Like, I think that would be really cool, and it also acts as a nice item sync. So I like the fact that they are advocating for a GP sync. I've always been fans of GP syncs. I just feel like it's strange, and my overall intuition is I think it's just odd that you're having to pay to raid. Yes, I know there's going to be people in the comments saying you don't have to pay to raid. You can still do the random bullshit. Like nobody really, very few people want to go into a raid and just blindly go into it. Like people are going to continually run to the recruit board until they get something nice. If we can make everything fully customizable and fully free, that system is completely gone, which would be a fucking miracle, honestly. A fucking miracle. I would love it if Chambers was you go to the goddamn board one time, choose your favorite fucking raid, have a great time, run in there, get a little bit less loot, 50% the loot, and we could just slash those, skilling resources you get from every single completion. And yes, the economy might get slightly affected, but getting a Tebow efficiently is like 400 hours. And if you're not sweating your ass off all the time with max gear, like the average casual Ironman that's trying to go for a Tebow is looking at like 700, 800 hours. That is preposterous. Anyway, so those are my overall thoughts. I think it would just be way better. I like that they've made it so you can fully customize raid. I think that's so important, so key. Get rid of the fee. Again, I'm not going to lose sleep. I'm going to be fully supportive if Jagex goes down their route because I think it will still would be fine. But at least allow Death's Coffer to pay for raids. But I mean, a lot of I know I'm making this seem overly negative right now, and I'm aware of that, but I just need to state how silly it is because if this comes out, not everybody wants to pay $500K for raid. So there will still continuously be people running in and out of the door of Chambers, in and out, running to the board, running back in, running back, because they just don't want to pay the $500K. And who the hell does? I mean, I understand it's balanced maybe just compared to what we deal with, but if we can just see through this and slash the amount of resources you get per raid so that it's not as rewarding, get rid of the fee, running in and out of Chambers will be completely gone. There won't be bots running in and out because that'll still be happening if this is implemented. Like, I don't know. I just really think at this point, let's just focus on fun. Let's focus on fun without it having a cost associated. Just let us pimp out a raid that we want. Just let us fucking do that for free. Just let us go to the board once. Let us run a raid. That's all I'm asking, really. And I don't know. I think it's gonna make some changes. It's gonna get rid of bots that are running and selling scouts. It's gonna get rid of some other stupid stuff. There's also further changes that need to be made to Chambers. They need to look at thieving. They need to look at Ice Demon. Ice Demon is such a bore. It's so goddamn boring chopping trees and putting into braziers. Like, can't it just be one inventory? Can't you just go in there? And I'm thinking more as like a solo player. Because I did a lot of chamber solos. Like, obviously, this takes so much more, and I do not envy the team and trying to balance chambers because it goes to like 1 to 100 team size, which is fucking got to be so difficult to balance and just make perfect. But let it be that maybe at level 80 you get the maximum amount of roots every single time at Ice Demon, and so 80 woodcutting is boom. You don't feel this obligation to get 99. There's things, and I'm not like super dogmatic about that particular view. Maybe it could shoot up to 99 still. I feel like that generally ends up being a detriment to the skilling community because now you're just making skilling easier for the sake of people wanting to PVM. But make Ice Demon better. Make these rooms. Make Tecton feel better. Make Mutadial not just dick you down, basically. Like, that would be nice. So there's obviously further changes, but I feel like in just regards to this, let us fully customize. There's challenge mode raids for a reason. Like, we have CMs that force you to do every single room. So why can't the basic chambers just allow you to choose your favorites, have a good time, no fee, cost, go to the board once, run a raid, keep running them? Like, oh my God. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Am I going crazy? Is my view bad? Let me know. I would love to hear a rational argument against it. I'd also love to hear People that support my idea. I love to hear people that want certain tweaks, people that are fully for what Jagex has proposed. And if you have any other additional comments to add, such as you want a higher fee associated, you want a lower fee, let me know down in the comments. Again, I make these rambles to discuss things and to just passionately share my point of view on the game. It's a game at the end of the day. I want people to have fun. I want to have fun, but I also care about integrity, and I care about balance, and I do care about what the community wants as a whole. And I think it's good to just keep sharing ideas. And so thank you guys for listening. As always, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Be sure to subscribe. And if you want to support my content directly, you can now, well, you've always been able to, but now on future rambles and casts, I will have your names on the title screen, so you can support on YouTube or Patreon down in the description. Thank you guys so very much for your support, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.